Alright, squad. We are here in the third quarter of our game against the Chiefs. Of course, the Broncos. Haskins has been as our QB for 2 quarters now. Quite a few rushes, quite a few throws, and some solid drives. We're liking what we see, and he's shown what he can create in those split-second opportunities. We've already got quite a few examples of that versatility that, if you remember from prior games, I was talking about, especially when things were starting to look bleak, that we need that versatility, because when we get to that meme ball and that Bronco Ball traditional type of play that we do, we need to rely on that versatility, that roster depth, and that knowledge that if something bad happens, our defense is going to be able to take the initiative and hold the other team. And we've already been seeing that this time around. We've already actually got a loose ball. So we're going to be going into the third here. We're going to be giving to them. But as I was just saying, we can rely on our defense to at least hold them, and if possible, force a turnover of some sort, be it an interception, a fumble, loose ball, something that will give us that offensive initiative. Because right now there's still only one touchdown separating us, and Mahomes and the Chiefs are more than capable of closing that gap. So we'll see what they're able to do, but more importantly, how some of our new roster picks are able to pick up the slack and able to, I would say, I don't want to be too overzealous, because hubris in the prior games got us caught up, so we need to be a little bit more humble, you would say, in these games. So I don't want to overstate it too much, but let's roll back the clock to a quick review of this season so far. We started off the preseason against the 49ers. It was amazing. It was peak example of what Bronco Ball can be. Clowning on the other team all the way up and down, completely owning the field. It was great, wonderful. Then we went up against the Cubs, the Bears. The Bears, who played like Cubs, like a Cub team, let's be honest. And I think showed the peak example of what clowning around can be. What did we get on there? We got 50 plus. I think we got 50 plus, and they may have had one touchdown, one lucky touchdown, something like that. But then we went into Titans, and that's where the reality of the situation really struck. That's where the cracks in the foundation came across. Oh, he could have got that interception right there. That's okay. As long as we're keeping pressure on them, we're ready to do that. So, but the Titans game, that was where the cracks in the foundation start to arise. We didn't want to necessarily recognize it because it's the first game. We can come back from it. Then we went up against, I believe it was the Buccaneers was the game after that, and it was a tough game, but we came out on top. Against a Super Bowl prepared team, and that really showed when our team comes together and able to use the full versatility, we're able to make it happen. Offensively, defensively, get some interceptions, get some forced turnovers on them, and really show how we can play long ball. We can play some good covered throws. We can play against all-time great quarterback. But it ultimately comes down to who's the better team overall in that day, in that moment. But then things started to really break apart again when we went up against the Jets, and it was 3 great quarters. I'm not going to lie, it was 3 great quarters, 2 really impeccable quarters, and we had the momentum. Even though we had wet ball and squishy field to go up against, we were really making it happen out there. And then on the 4th quarter, if you remember that, it's just like everyone, they were not sticking the landings, not sticking the catches. It's like and some of them just pretty much stopped on the field entirely, especially on defense, and it's just like they were running into each other. It was almost like bumper cars out there at some parts, but we came back from it. And, unfortunately we lost the game because that last turnaround in momentum, but we came back, we went through the week intervening, did a lot of practice, and then we went up against the Patriots, and that was the struggle the entire time around. There were a lot of opportunities for us to take that momentum, but just did not click. It just did not click. And that's where really, if you're coming into this and you wonder why Locke is not the current quarterback we're using Haskins here is because that Locke's the magic he was able to show, especially in the preseason, it started to fall apart. We didn't see it, and things were not clicking. And I know it's not just one person, it's the team around, but it was not coming together. And we needed to come together as a full team, but also as the QBs, effectively the field general out there. So that just was not coming together. And ultimately, the final decision that we had to make some roster changes before this game against the Chiefs, which we're doing pretty well against still, was the game against the Dolphins. Easy win, right? No, not even. I think we had one solid drive that just stopped at their 10 in the first quarter. And then it fell apart from there. They took the ball, they took momentum, they took every inch of that field. We still flip back to that game, and we see that there was systematic failure resulting from key positions that maybe Hubris had gone into. And we knew going in this we had to make the change. There was no turning back from it. We had to make changes on our defense, on our offense, and most notably on our offense, of course. But let's see how this long field goal turns out. We might be able to get it there. It's a bit long though. No, it's just underneath. It's just short. It's all right. It tries. Okay, maybe a little bit closer. Just a couple yards. We could have made that. Just a couple yards. But it's examples of that which really show how where our team can really score from. Now we know where we can score from with the runs, with the throws, especially long ball, and breaking out of coverage. But we need long kicks like that for a field goal every so often to see how it goes. But I think overall this is a great third quarter. So far, a great game. We're really showing that our team is gelling, come together. It seems like we filled a lot of those holes that were leaking the ship on the defense and offense, and I'm looking forward to a great, solid fourth quarter where we really prove that we have metal to continue. So, all right, squad, stay toasty until next quarter.